We're now joined by University of Houston Cougars football coach Dana Holgorsen, and this is 365 Sports. How much does not playing the spring game really affect what you learned during the spring?
Well, we did play it just due to bad weather and NCAA rules and regulations. I had to move it inside because I couldn't postpone it a day or two. You only have a certain amount of time to be able to get things in. So I know there's some people upset, and I feel bad that we couldn't hold an open practice. And shoot, I invited all the media and the fan base and all that. Plus, you couple it with the recruiting, which I think everybody would agree is fairly important. So we moved it inside because it was just too bad to do outside. Plus, if you do kind of risk it and go outside, you get one lightning strike, and everybody's got to go home. We're not going to sit there and have a 5-hour delay like we do sometimes on game day, which is unavoidable. So we moved it inside. We had a really good practice. We had, probably 100 recruits there that were able to see it. But the indoor is only so big. We made do, but couldn't accommodate the public, which I felt bad for.
Coach, do you feel a palpable buzz about being here at the beginning of the Big 12 journey, something that the University of Houston has wanted for a long time, to be back in the Power Conference? Do you feel that among the team, among the fans, among people you're around on a daily basis?
Oh, absolutely, I do. There's a really good buzz and a really good feeling and a lot of happy people. That's what the University of Houston's always wanted. When the Big 12 was formed 30 years ago, 30-some years ago, and Houston got left out, it was hard on this university for a long time. 15 years of, a pretty dormant activity around here. Just can't give our president and Chancellor Renew Couture enough credit. When I was here the first time in 2008, 2009, she was hired in 2008. 15 years later, this is what we're looking at. So she's done an unbelievable job of bringing the university back to life. And, we got buildings going up left and right. We're a tier 1 institution academically. We have a new medical school with Tillman Fertitta's name on it. That's opening up. Brand new law building, new athletic facilities, and now the Big 12. So much excitement. I think the big message for everybody that the Houston Cougars are associated with, we can't celebrate getting in. We got a lot of work to do, and now is when we got to kind of double down on everything that we're doing.
How much, you mentioned the 100 prospects at the indoor game, so to speak, and scrimmage. How much have you seen just the fact you're now going to be a part of the Big 12 helped in your recruiting when people answer the phone?
Yeah, we haven't changed our recruiting philosophy. We're recruiting the same people. It used to happen, all the time, quite frequently, like a lot, is when I'd be talking to these recruits and their families, they'd be like, man, we love Houston. We, really think the university's on the right track. We want to play Power 5. We want to play in the Big 12, or we want to play in the SEC. And I'd like, man, I don't blame you. I kind of want to coach in the Big 12 or in the Power 5 or wherever that might be. And so I understood it. And so I'd have to shake their hand and wish them luck. And now, a lot of those guys that I shook their hand and wished them luck, a lot of them are back here now because they know we're in the Big 12. And then from a recruiting perspective, they can't say that, and so if they say they like Houston and they want to be a part of it, then they don't have that big excuse not to come here. And so from a recruiting perspective, we're able to recruit the same people that we always have, but we're finding a lot more success in being able to land them to come play.
You've had success, and there's a lot of players from Houston are in the NFL, obviously, at this time as well. But does it then mean you can, or is your roster, the depth of it, ready for Big 12? I know you've beaten people, don't get me wrong, Dana, but is this going to help maybe even bulk your depth chart up even more?
Yeah, absolutely it is. And we better close in recruiting here for the 2023 cycle, which, this it ain't over. Recruiting for 2023 is not over. We currently have 11 spots that we can fill between now and June 1. So we got to continue to bring people in, that can be in our 2 deep to help us. This schedule is so hard, and everybody's excited about it, and I am too until I look at the schedule. Now, it ain't just Big 12 either. We got a tough first one against UTSA, and a tough second one at Rice, which is always a hard game for us. It's challenging. We better continue to get the roster different. We better continue to develop it. And I think we're on track. The NFL thing, we've got a lot of guys in the NFL from Houston. We do a good job of developing young men here, and we have NFL guys on our. There's probably 5. There's anywhere from 3 to 6 guys that they get drafted off of our last year's 2022 team. Obviously, Tank Dell's kind of highlighting that, but we've always had success with the NFL, and that's not going to change anytime soon.
Dana Holgorsen, head coach at Houston, with us on 365 Sports. Paul?
Coach, your team went through some emotional ups and downs throughout last year, playing a lot of close games. You had some team building you obviously had to do early in the year that really kind of worked out in the way that you guys closed was really impressive. What is from those guys that are back? Do you think that last season, kind of hardened them for getting ready for the next season and building on the successes off of some tough moments early in the year for you guys?
Yeah, it's welcome to college football 101. It's just competitive. It's one of those years where, we didn't. I'd be the first to admit. Our expectations were off the charts high, and deservingly so. Coming off a 12-2 team and having star power at quarterback back and a lot of vets. So it's disappointing that we didn't meet those expectations. I got to coach better, and we got to all coach better and play better and all that. But, I was proud of the fact that our team didn't fold their tent when they could have. 3 overtime games in the first 5 games. Never seen that before. Just a lot of tough, hard, games that, we won a couple of them that we might not have been able to win, and then we lost some that we had a chance to win. That's just college football. That's why it's the most popular thing going. But, was happy to finish like we did. At the end of the day, we won 20 games in the last 2 years. That's only happened, I believe, 3 times in the history of this storied program, and back-to-back bowl games that we've won in 2 years, which has only happened one other time in the history of this great program. So disappointed not meeting expectations, but by no means was it not a successful year. We're on track, and we're going to continue to build it to get better each year.
Dana, you mentioned the facilities, buildings going up on campus. I know there still needs to be more, but now you're going to get more money. The first 2 years, not quite the full share of the Big 12, but a difference between 5, 6, 7 million in the American Conference and what you'll get 18 or so this first year. How much does that help with your staff? You have your coordinators taken care of, you're taken care of, your staff, but also how much does that help with what else you want to do facility-wise?
Well, it's a couple of things with that. We're planning I don't know what it is, $200 million facility that is going to start December of 23. After the last game, I believe we play Oklahoma State around Thanksgiving, and then in December they're going to start tearing stuff up, which needs to happen for the future of where we are here. I think it's a couple of things. Our administration's been treating us like a Power 5 school since I've been here. That's why I'm here. And so from a salary perspective, you mentioned it, from a assistant coach and budgets and all that stuff, we've been acting like we're there. So there doesn't have to be a whole lot of change. We have added a bunch of positions in the last couple of years, but more importantly, we've been able to maintain stability from strength and conditioning to offense, defense, special teams as well, operations and all that. So I think once it happens and we start getting that full share, that's going to make everybody better, not just football, but the other sports as well. And, the infrastructure of our athletic department needs to continue to grow. It'll be a relief to our president. Our school has been helping fund this thing for the last 5 years, and so there's going to be relief at down the road in the next couple of years from our school's perspective, because we don't have to act like we're there. We are there, and that's going to be fun for everybody to experience in years to come.
you are, in a major metropolitan area. A lot of colleges aren't. I mean, you came from Morgantown. Nobody's going to mistake that for Houston in any way, shape, or form in the way that the city is set up. And you're kind of unique in Houston in that if you are from Houston, people have an amazing amount of civic pride in that city and the teams in it. Do you feel that? I mean, I'm sure, when you lose games, you don't feel warmth at all, but do you feel that warmth around what you're building there with the Cougars right now?
Yeah, there's not a lot of schools like us. You said a lot. There's really not. I mean, you got USC and UCLA and Miami and Georgia Tech. That's about it when it comes to being able to have the support of 6 million people in a major city. My experience was the Texases and Texas A&Ms and shoot, I'd go as far to, West Virginia and Oklahoma State, Tech. There's a lot of people that live in the city that would support the University of Houston. Well, I think that's going to kind of maybe go away a little bit now that we got to play, Baylor and TCU and all these guys. Hopefully the Texas and Texas A&M crew will continue to be Houston Coug fans because they're in the SEC. Got to get through one more year of that, having UT coming here this year. But have felt city pride. That's going to probably have to turn a little bit more towards, true University of Houston pride. And there's been a lot of people that have kind of been in the shadows that are starting to come out of it based on the fact that we now got what we want, which is, name recognition, Power 5, Big 12, and the teams that are coming to play are going to be teams that everybody wants to come see.
What does your experience in the Big 12, I know you've played against Big 12 teams at Houston, but what does your experience where you have been before, including West Virginia, how much does that help as you move into the conference again?
Well, I think it helps on the front end as far as building it. I was fortunate to be a part of that transition at West Virginia back in 2011. We had about 2 months lead-in time to it. When we announced it in October, we were getting ready to play in it in January. So there wasn't a whole lot of lead-in time, and there were some mistakes made, and some things that we learned, and we eventually got it the way we wanted it to where we won. I think we won 30 games in the last 3 years there or whatever, which was fun and awesome and competitive and successful. Here, I think that experience is going to help. It's more like 2 years lead-in time. We've known about this for 18 to 20 months or whatever it is. So, what it needs to look like, been there, done that, and I think it's going to help. Now, once we start lining up and going toe-to-toe in actual football games, I don't know how much experience that's gonna help. I mean, I know what college football needs to look like, but, being able to build it and get it to what it needs to look like is hard and it's challenging. It's just so competitive. The Big 12 from top to bottom is just so competitive, and it doesn't matter if it's football, basketball, baseball, track, whatever it is. It's just incredibly competitive, and there ain't no easy solution to being successful other than build it the right way and get your players in position, and hopefully you got enough good ones where they can help you win.
How much harder is it to know what you're going to be as a team now in college football because of the transfer portal? I mean, you mentioned you've got 11 spots you want to fill before June. I mean, that was never a problem before. You knew well before June who you had.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, we're going to have 45 new bodies next year compared to what we had this past year. I mean, that's over half of your entire roster is going to be new to your team year one. So, I think that's a good thing because we're able to kind of change the roster because of the new rules. But it makes spring practice very challenging. We're going to have 30 new bodies in June that we didn't have for spring practice. So, I'm thankful for the spring practice because we brought in 15 kids that we were able to coach and get caught up. But in addition to that, we're bringing 30 more in starting June 1, So it makes me worry about spring football a little bit, how much of that are we going to be able to do in years to come, because June's going to be more important. I'd rather give up some spring practice time to get more time in June and July. As crazy as that sounds with how your schedule looks and your roster looks and the calendar looks, I think you better start getting ready to take some vacations and doing a little bit, because June and July is going to be more focused on your team.
How much did you, and among those who your inner circle, enjoy the comments you made to Sam Conn and theathletic.com about no hot seat?
Well, I get tired of talking about it, to be honest with you. I just, there's so many positive things happening around here, and, we have, like I mentioned, what we've done the last 2 years and where we're going and what we're building. And, we got a new building on the horizon that I just personally donated $1 million to. So that's being built, got long-term contractors, a new conference, and a lot of positive things happening, not only within football, but within the University of Houston in general. So get tired of kind of talking about that stuff sometimes, but
I get it.
And at the end of the day, don't really care what people think anyway.
That's fine. That's who you've always been. I mean, kind of following you around wherever you've been. How much has Donovan Smith transitioned for you?
Good. He comes in with, he's big and he's got, 10 games of Big 12 experience. Lucas Coley came in a year ago from Arkansas. We recruited him out of high school. He falls into that category of, recruited him out of high school. He just looked me at the eye and said, I want to play Power 5. And I was like, well, good for you. Good luck. And, that didn't work out. And once we were Power 5, he came back. And so he's been here for a year, and both of them had good springs. The one huge positive that I can say about 15 practices in spring is this quarterback's got a ton of reps, and they need a ton more, in June and July. But they both look good. They're similar. They got different strengths and weaknesses, but they're fairly similar to where we don't have to change the offense regardless of which one's in there. You better have more than one. In today's day and time, you get to number 2 and number 3 sometimes pretty often, so you better prepare for that.
Last thing for you, Dana. Michael Harrison pilot from Temple. I have an all-Central Texas high school football team. He's kind of like the Swiss Army knife. Is that what he can do for you?
Yeah, I think so. He did it. He did it at the U.S. All-American game. Was pretty versatile in that game, which is when he announced that he was coming to the University of Houston. He's a legacy kid. His dad was here when I was here in 2008, so I think that relationship helped a little bit. But for him and his family to see where Houston was and where Houston's going to be next year, it gives you a chance to be able to recruit him. And so landing him was huge for our program. He's incredibly versatile, like you said. He wants to play receiver. So, which receiver spot we put him at, I got to coach him to kind of figure out that skill set. But you're right. He's a physical kid and he can run. I know there's a lot of people that wanted him on defense because he's so physical. We're going to stick his tail on offense and hope he scores a bunch of touchdowns.
Okay, when the schedule came out, and I have to follow it, when the schedule came out for 2023, how quickly did you look for when you and where you played Texas?
I think our fans did that way more than I did that. I mean, they're preparing for a jump to the SEC. They got a lot of resources. They got really good coaching staff and a lot of really good players. So, you talk about a challenging matchup. That's going to be a challenging matchup. So they all are, and so whether you play at home or on the road, I do think the Big 12 was as good to us as they possibly can. I'm shocked I'm not playing game 1 in Morgantown myself. But, they did throw it on a Thursday night.
Yeah, you know what that's like. Dana, thanks for your time. You sound great, man. You sound very happy and clear-minded, and good luck the rest of the way. Good luck filling up your roster, and thanks for your time today.
Man, I appreciate y'all having me on. Go Cougars.
Dana Holgorsen, head football coach at Houston, with us on 3.